What's good, everyone? It's Jerry's Berries, and today we're going to be looking at everyone's favorite bug-stomping, robot-ripping game of the year. No, we aren't talking about Deep Rock, but it's a good guess. We're going to be talking about Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is Arrowhead Studios' sequel to the cult classic Helldivers 1, and they gave it the Risk of Rain 2 treatment, by completely changing the gameplay from top-down to third-person, kind of like how Hopu did to Risk of Rain, with switching it from side-scrolling to a third-person sandbox. But we'll get into how it works insanely well here in a moment. First, we're going to be talking about some lore. Helldivers 2 takes place 1 century after the events of Helldivers 1. After the Galactic War was over, the Helldivers were decommissioned, and the enemies of Super Earth had met their ends. What followed was a century of peace, where Super Earth started colonization efforts and took humanity to places with newly liberated FTL technology. Fast forward to the events of Helldivers 2, and the bugs that they've kept for fuel for the FTL jumps have rebelled and need to be put down. Alongside that, the emergence of an automaton threat has threatened the peace of democracy in the West. And who better than to take up the task than the newly recommissioned Helldiver units? Here's how we're going to do that. Let's talk about some gameplay now, shall we? In Helldivers 2, you start off on your Star Destroyer to help liberate planets and spread democracy. In order to do this, you're going to need all the help available from other Helldivers to stratagems, and of course, new armor and weapons as well. To start spreading democracy first, you need to engage in a campaign. There are 9 difficulties, and they range from trivial to Helldive, and they each present their different challenges, whether it be new enemy types, amount of enemies, or the time required to complete a mission. Each campaign is made up of a number of missions, and these are the types that currently make up the campaign. You have Kill Your Enemies, Launch a Nuke, Cage the Nerds, Interstellar Electrician, Get the Oil Back, Find some oil to bring back, and go get sensitive information. Alongside these main objectives, there are multiple side objectives to find in the field, so I recommend that you thoroughly explore the mission area before extraction. Now that you know what types of missions you're going on, you're going to wonder what support that you have. And here's the answer to that. You have stratagems, and these range in class from orbital guns, eagle airstrikes, the big laser from the sky, and support weapons and sentry turrets. You'll start the game off with 2 stratagems, but don't worry, you're going to unlock more soon. All you gotta do is you go over to this terminal on the base ship, and with the samples you can upgrade how stratagems work, and you can also spend requisition slips on stratagems. How do you get samples and requisition slips? By doing campaigns. The first couple missions aren't so bad because you're locked to the trivial difficulty. By extracting a couple of samples and getting some requisition slips, you can really start upgrading your arsenal. To get weapons, we gotta use a battle pass. I know the battle pass isn't the funnest thing, but this one's honestly not so bad. As the premium war bonds, as I can see, they look to be purely cosmetic, where the regular war bond has all the weapons and emotes and armor that you're gonna need or want. A word of advice: the breaker lives up to its name, and you can rush for it fairly early on. It's on the 4th page of the battle pass, and it breaks everything. The Punisher also lives up to its name, as it specializes in punishing your teammates for playing as a team. It's got spread, and that spread will kill your buddies. And lastly, all you need is some friends to come on in, but if you want to solo, you can, although I'm not a huge fan of soloing missions. With the quick play matchmaking with randoms, it works quite well. You can just sit there and go non-verbal and not even talk or have to listen to your teammates. The systems used in-game to tag, ping, and using the map makes it so easy to figure out where everyone's going, but you really don't need too much communication to play. Let's talk about what you're going to be fighting. Now that you know how to fight your enemies, you should get familiar with who you're going to be fighting. As of February 25th, 2024, you're going to be fighting 2 separate factions. These factions are going to be the Terminids in the east, and the Automatons in the west. Terminids are the main force in the eastern sectors. These are the things that you send the new recruits to go fight until they get comfortable to be shipped off to the western front. Most of the player base is getting comfy fighting the bugs. But in reality, the bugs can do some damage. On lower difficulty campaigns, the bugs are a pretty good tutorial to get your feet wet and helping new Helldivers become acquainted with their gear. However, Helldivers should take caution engaging bugs on higher difficulties, should they come into contact with the likes of Stalkers, Chargers, or the dreaded Bile Titan. Further sources could claim that as we push the bugs back, there could be others, so Helldivers should stay ready for anything. Automatons are the main force in the western sectors. You may have noticed them as there's a big propaganda campaign on social media right now to get the noobs off the eastern shores so we don't forget the massacre of Malevelon Creek. I would advise new Helldivers to not jump into the automaton menace until you've played a couple rounds and have become equipped with the systems and your equipment. The automatons are most likely successors of the cyborgs in Helldivers 1, and they have more firepower to deal with us as well. The automatons have the most dangerous units currently in the game, which include the Jihadist Extremist, Chainsaw Man, the Hulk, and that thing that maybe stopped a bunch of stuff back in China in 1989. Now one of the biggest points, if not the biggest point about Helldivers 2 is its multiplayer aspect. These guys at Arrowhead Studios have been huge on multiplayer and huge on the fact that if you hit your teammate, it's going to do as much damage, if not more damage to them than to an enemy. Remember, friendly fire isn't. Upon release, there was also some trouble with the servers, being capped at 450,000. And I can't really blame the devs on this one. Everyone just wanted to play the game. The first Helldivers on Steam had a peak player count of like 11,000, where we have 457,000. A little bit of a difference. The servers as of now are still capped, but they have a cap of 750,000 Helldivers across both PS5 and PC, which has alleviated the dreaded recruitment line. It was a Friday at 9 p.m. and I got in right away. The servers are looking pretty good. And whether you're playing with friends or joining randoms, the game doesn't feel bad. It is more enjoyable with your friends, but kicking back with others isn't an active detriment either. Actually, it's more encouraged to go get some people to play with. Our final score. Helldivers 2 has quickly taken the internet by storm, and for good reason. The gameplay's tight, and it's overall super fun to play. When I'm with my buddies, it's one of the funnest experiences I've had since maybe Terraria, Risk of Rain 2, and even Lethal Company back in October. The core gameplay loop feels satisfying, and there's a healthy and engaged community that will help the game prosper for some time to come, which is excellent considering the live service action of the game and how we determine the outcome of the Galactic War. My final score as of right now is a 10 out of 10, and I would spread democracy again with the boys and girls of Super Earth. The original score upon original release for this, I would have gave it an 8 out of 10, mainly because I couldn't get into play after work. Now with the servers fixed, the game's great. It's a great game. If you like co-op shooters, if you like games like Left 4 Dead or Deep Rock Galactic, give this one a try. It's well worth the $40 US, and I would be glad to spread democracy with everyone. As always, more content to come. I do stream on Twitch/YouTube, and I have socials that I neglect in the description down below. Thank you to everyone who watched the video and supported me. If you're watching this at the time of upload, I'll be live, and you can come join in the chat. If there's anything you think I should cover next, let me know. Until then, have a good one, and you're all truly appreciated.